Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow members of the Planning Commission. My name is Michael Camber. I'm an associate planner with the City Planning Division, and I'd like to talk to you about agenda item number 2. Specifically, that's the property located at 1595 West Baseline Street in the city of San Bernardino. The project proposed to be discussed with you tonight is a convenience store. The applicant in this case is the parent company for 7-Eleven. The location is a vacant lot, although right now it has a billboard, unutilized billboard, with the structure on the property. The applicant has indicated that they have talked to the billboard company, bought out the lease, and are preparing to remove that structure. The property itself is zoned for the type of use that we're talking about, which is a convenience store, and it also is consistent with the general plan. Notice has been given of the proposed project to neighbors within a 500-foot radius of the property on 3 separate occasions, and on the 3rd occasion, notice was also given of the fact that this was going to be discussed at tonight's Planning Commission meeting. As of this very moment, no correspondence has been received from any of the neighbors, and in fact, there's been nobody in the audience that's indicated that they were going to get up and speak in opposition to the project. Based primarily on the information contained on the written report that you've already reviewed, but also on some additional comments that I'd like to make to you and the other members of the board, the staff is recommending that you approve the project. The basis for our recommendation is essentially threefold. The first is that we believe that the project will benefit the neighborhood. Currently, there is no grocery store within 10 miles of that neighborhood. So there's no place for anybody within a 10-mile radius of 1595 West Baseline for them to go to the store, for them to get food. This is a community that's very underserved when it comes to being able to go to the store and shop. They also have no access to healthy foods, and when you think 7-Eleven, you might not necessarily think healthy foods. However, in an article that I attached to the report, and hopefully you've reviewed, from the New York Times approximately 2 weeks ago, 7-Eleven is now seeking to expand its market so that it provides not only the usual Slurpees and candy and things like that, but also healthy foods. Specifically, over the last year, the retailer has introduced a line of fresh foods for the calorie conscious and trimmed down its more indulgent fare by creating portion size items. But by approving the 7-Eleven in this location, what we're doing is we're providing access to healthier foods to a populace that perhaps wouldn't be given an opportunity to do so. And by putting it in a 7-Eleven, we're providing them motivation for them to come into the store that might not exist were we to, say, put a health food store there. People might not go into a health food store. They might be more inclined to go into a store they know, like a 7-Eleven. And as indicated by its name, it's a convenience store, which means it's within walking distance, so it's convenient to the people who live there. Open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In addition to the benefits to the neighborhood that the 7-Eleven store will provide, it also provides benefits to the city, specifically in regards to increased revenues. People who might otherwise spend their money elsewhere will spend it in the city, which means that there will be sales tax revenue that otherwise wouldn't exist. In addition to the sales tax from a piece of property that currently generates none, we would also have increased property tax revenues because there'll be an improvement on the property that will make the property more valuable. In addition to that property, other adjoining properties will go up in value. As indicated in another article that I attached to my report, specifically an article called Economic and Community Development Outcomes of Healthy Food Retail, bringing new food outlets into underserved areas can also provide an economic stimulus in communities that may need it most. Grocery stores often serve as anchors that spur local economic development by creating new jobs, revitalizing commercial districts, improving nearby housing values, and generating additional tax revenues. Now again, we're not talking about a grocery store, but we are talking about a convenience store that we hope will provide some of those benefits. In addition to the benefits, there's very little cost because the infrastructure is in place, and any improvements in infrastructure necessary, the cost of which will be borne by the applicant. There's no additional policing that we anticipate in the location other than what we have currently. In addition to benefits to the neighborhood and benefits to the city, we also think it's a good location for a convenience store, and here's why. In order to sustain a convenience store, there's a need for approximately 500 to 1,000 people within a mile radius, according to the Grocery Trade Association of America. In this case, we have much more than that. Within a mile radius of this location, there's 2,500 minimum. In addition to that, you have a high volume of both pedestrian and vehicle traffic going by this location for impulse buying, which means that the market shouldn't have any problems sustaining itself. In addition to the fact that there's plenty of people around, the 7-Eleven people have indicated that they're not going to franchise this business out for a minimum of 3 years to make sure that it gets a good footing and is sustainable when they try to sell it to another franchisee. The final concern that I think the Planning Commission should have concerning this property is whether or not it satisfies the California Environmental Quality Act, and it does. Steps have been taken to mitigate the effects of construction, as shown by the mitigated negative declaration attached to the report, and we don't anticipate a significant impact on the environment based on the construction and running of the operation. So based on the benefits to the neighborhood, the benefits to the city, the fact that it's a good location, and the less than significant impact it's going to have on the environment, the staff's recommendation and mine is for you to approve the project. Now, if you have any additional questions, I'm happy to respond. But thank you.